MudRFunR here. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I've got my Murray lawnmower. It's been burning a lot of oil. Lots. So before you start this project, make sure you've got the battery disconnected. I've already done that. Also, I'm not a licensed mechanic. I don't usually work on small engines. Like I said, this is something a little different for me. I did my research, so hopefully I can do an accurate video. So anything you see here, or anything that you think you might have learned, or advice that I might have given you, use it at your own discretion. I've already got the muffler off right here, except for this pipe. I didn't even realize it was a two-piece muffler, but that just slides right into here. And the reason I took all that off was because originally I was going to take this engine off and I was going to put a 2-cylinder 20 horse Briggs on it. But I really like this engine, so it's going to get a new head gasket and then we'll try it out. I've never done a head gasket on something this small before, so this ought to be a challenge. Okay, off comes the breather cover. And I'll be putting a new filter in there. So down in here, there's a hidden screw or bolt. You can get it with a socket or a flat screwdriver, according to this one anyways. Just a tiny thing. You'll see on the front here, there's 2 bolts right here, and on mine there are 3/8. And there's 2, they look the same on the back side here. So I'm just going to finish taking out the 4 bolts here and I'll get back to you. So the front 2 are the little short ones and the back 2 are a little bit longer, and they've got this little raised edge on them there. Part straight. So this should come off. There we go. A little dirty in there. So right here you'll see 2 hex head bolts, and this is a 1/4 inch. Those 2 are out. And the pipe is off. So now we're on the other side, and from what I can remember when I researched this, I don't think you have to take anything else off. This will just rest over there. And the carb bolts are just a little bit longer than the ones that we took out of the front. And that should just sit right there nicely out of my way. There we go. I'll clean the head once I get it off of there. Actually, I think I'll clean all of it once I get the head off of there. Just got a lot of gunge down underneath here. So if you feel underneath this cover, there's a little bit of an indent, and you can feel the little bolt underneath. And I used the 5/16 wrench to get in there. I couldn't get a socket on it. And I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a wire that's hooked in from underneath. Make sure you remember to put that back in. It's just hooked right into this tab right here, so don't pull that wire off when you pull this out. That could use a good cleaning. Wow. And here's the tiny bolt. This plug has been in here probably 7-8 years, and I've only had it out one time, and that was to clean off all the oil deposits that were inside of there. It actually quit running on me. That's how fully packed that thing was with oil. Definitely going to get a new one now. Needs one. It was 35 degrees Celsius today, and with humidity they said it feels more like about 42. So I've decided to remove this bracket too, just to make everything a little easier to get at. And those I'm just going to put back in. I got myself a brush and cleaned all around the bolt holes there, or the bolt heads. So today is another day. I got interrupted yesterday and I had to quit right where I left off here. And then keep track of what they look like. Getting quite a few bolts in there that are similar in size. Alright, I got a drain pan underneath here. I don't know if any oil is going to come out. Just going to tap it lightly. It's just got silicone on there. You can set this later on, keep the engine turned so that there's no pressure on either valve if you're not going to adjust on here. When you take the head off, you want no pressure on here. So with the pressure off the push rods and the rocker arms, I'm going to start loosening these. Made myself a little diagram that I got online. There is the torque sequence. I've seen guys removing these with power tools, and myself, I like to take a little pressure off of each bolt in the same order that the torque sequence is. Maybe this is overkill, I don't know. Chances are, if you didn't do it this way, nothing would ever happen. But this is just a general rule of thumb that I use for pretty much any such application. If there's a torque sequence, I usually follow it. And they should all be loose by now a little bit. Okay. Once they're all loose, then take them out all the way. Okay, I'm going to finish pulling out all the rest of these bolts, and I'll get back to you once I get all the bolts out. So while you were gone, I cheated. I went and got my little 3/8 impact driver. Got out all the rest of the head bolts with that. Okay, this puppy should come right off. Yep. Okay. Now you need to be careful. These push rods are, one is different than the other. The one push rod is, I believe it's aluminum, it's very lightweight, and that is the bottom one, the intake. And this top one, it must be steel because it's darker and it's also heavier. So keep track of which is which. Sure does have a lot of oil laying in the bottom of the cylinder here. You see all that? That means she's been puffing out an awful lot. So that's what the valves look like. Actually not too bad. I'm not going to take them out. I'm just going to clean them up and clean up around the gasket area and some of the oil and junk, get it off of there, and see about putting it back on. Okay, so I'm going to be using some brake parts cleaner, and I didn't want to get that up into the valves here, so I'm just going to put that lid on for a second until I can get this all sprayed off. Oh, I should have put a cloth underneath there. This stuff is just amazing. Woo. Run off. And there's not a lot of cleaning left after that. Have to get into the crevices there a little bit and everything just wipes right off. Stuff is beautiful. Uh-oh. No more juice. I keep a box full of this stuff around. And you should be wearing safety glasses. This really does spray. And it also really burns when you get it in your eyes. So I've just about got it cleaned up. I haven't really been doing anything fancy with this, just I got a little rag here, I've been wiping it down. And to get in between all the little crevices, I just used a little screwdriver to poke the rag into there. And it's more or less clean, as good as I think it's going to get. See the sweat right now, it's about to drip off my nose, dripping off my chin. We've had some extreme hot weather around here, and it wasn't too bad when I first started in here, but the sun's been beating on the shop. And our weather right at the moment is about 35 degrees, feels like 42. So yeah, I'm done for today. So today's another day. I still have my fan running, but it is, I think, about 26 degrees right now, and it's actually really nice. And I'm just going to get back to what I was doing over here. I've got this little knife. You could use a utility knife, but this thing's a lot safer. I try to keep this sharp too, and just going to scrape off the old gasket and trying to get it out of those bolt holes as much as possible too. This is just aluminum, so you got to be pretty careful with it. Some pieces are probably going to fall in there and in the bolt holes, but we'll blow that out in a minute. And just going to flip it over. Not much gasket left here, but if you look at it up close, it's about as close as I can get it to you and still keep it in the light. But if you look at it up close right here, that's where it failed. I was once told not to use brake cleaner on the inside of an engine. I guess I don't listen too well. I'm going to try it. I think that's soaked in nice. And I'm going to use my drill with a wire brush on it. I'm just going to continue cleaning this and I'll get back to you. So I got the valves cleaned up about as good as they're going to get. Just going to blow everything out with the air hose. I ain't no road king. I won't make this spotless. I'm not making showpieces like he is. I just need something usable. I just have the valve cover sitting on there, and I've been just kind of holding it into place. I don't want any more dirt getting in there than I have to. So I'm going to continue cleaning all this. So now that everything's nicely cleaned up, as good as it's going to get, I'm using some very fine steel wool here, and just getting off the remainder of this gasket. And I'm going to try and clean up inside the cavity here a little bit more. Nice and clean, by my standards. And I'm just doing the same here with the valve cover gasket. Something I've neglected to show so far was these little caps right here. It's very important that they're on there, and I'm glad I haven't lost one yet. They need to be on there, or you're just going to wear out the tip of your valve. A must have. So now we're going to clean off the valve cover. Ripping off the inside and outside edges first, and then there shouldn't be much left after that. And here's my fine steel wool again. Get the rest of the silicone off of here. Okay, just gonna blow all that out, wipe it off a bit, and then I gotta go clean the block.
Okay, I won't be in your video.
Okay. So I'm just getting the head gasket off of here. If you're talking, you are.
Okay.
It's my granddaughter. Okay. Get that off.
Grandpa.
Leah.
You're funny.
You're even funnier.
No, you're funnier than me.
Leah, you're on my video.
Well, guess what? Funny Bear on the show is very funny.
So right there you can really see where it failed in between there. Thanks. Okay, I'm going to bring the cylinder right up to the front. Keep everything from falling in there. And I'm going to try not to get too much in here.
Grandpa, no! Stop it!
You're still on my video.
Stop it, silly
You're
you.
still on my video. I'm just getting a little bit of some coarser stuff here. It didn't seem to be good enough.
Are you, Grandpa?
I'm talking to the camera.
Why?
Because
Why, Grandpa?
I'm telling them what I'm doing here. The piston is surprisingly clean. All that oil must have just washed it out.
Oh, that's cool. Daddy, you're gonna be a
You can see right there where the
Because you're whistling.
see right there where the cylinder pressure has been getting through.
Grandpa's having a video. Grandpa,
Yeah.
why are you doing a video?
Because I told you why.
To show people how to fix your lawnmower.
How to show people how to fix their own lawnmower. I'm fixing mine and they can fix their own.
And then they'll know how to fix their own lawnmower?
Well, if they watch this, they will, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grandma, too.
Grandma too.
Yeah.
I don't think Grandma's going to be fixing any lawnmowers.
Why?
Because that's my job.
You fix her lawnmower?
She doesn't have one.
Why?
Why? Because we only need one lawnmower. So I've got everything cleaned up as good as it's going to get. And I used some brake clean and the air hose and some variety of different rags. You'll see where your magneto has this magnet that's separate right here. And it's going to be right about here when the piston is at the top. And then from here, top dead center, you want to go maybe about 1/8 of a turn. And both of your push rods are going to be at their loosest point right there. So I'm told anyway. If I'm wrong, you're more than welcome to correct me. I'm not perfect. I make sure this is all nicely cleaned up, and then we're going to put the gasket on. I've got the new one in the package here, and it's an exact match. It's an original Briggs and Stratton head gasket. So there's only one way that this can go on, and just hook it on those little dowel pins. One thing I should have mentioned was that you need to blow out all of the bolt holes when you clean off the engine. Blow out these bolt holes. So once I get the rest of these bolts in, I'll get back to you. So if you were paying attention, you'll know that the aluminum push rod goes on the bottom and the steel one goes on top. Very important here. Make sure that these caps are on. I'm going to put these in place already. Once I start tightening this down, it might be a little difficult to get the push rods in, so I'll do it right here now. And those are very long bolts, so I'm just going to use my small impact driver, and I have it set at 5 right now. Okay, I'm at 1, so you can see how easily it'll stop, right? And I've got my little diagram with the torque sequence. Hopefully the fan won't blow it away. Number 1. Oops. Number 2. Fairly tight, not even all the way snug. Okay. just going to go in a little bit again. Make sure they're all touching, just touching. Okay, I gotta get my torque wrench. So I have my torque wrench set for 150 inch-pounds. I'm gonna first just snug these up so that they're all touching the head and got a little bit of pressure on them. See, that one isn't even in all the way, so just making sure that they're all in and snugged up a bit. And I'm following the torque sequence on this. Okay, now they're all snugged up part way. We'll go back to number one. Okay, there's 150 inch-pounds. Got it. Three, four, five, six. And just make sure that these are still in place. Seven. And 8. And now 250 inch-pounds. Again, start at number 1. Number 2. And I'm just going to check them all one more time. Perfect. So I'm checking the valve gap, and this is supposed to be 3 to 5. There's a 3, it's very loose. This is the intake, 3 to 5, and yeah, it's pretty loose. It goes all the way, even 6 will go through easily. There is no 7. The 8 will actually go in on the intake, and it's supposed to be 3 to 5, so that one's going to be, definitely have to get adjusted. I knew one of them was loose because this engine was starting to make quite a ticking noise already. And this is the exhaust, and it's supposed to be 5 to 7. So right here is my number 5. And 5 goes in nice. 6 goes in nice. I don't have a 7. 8 won't fit. A 5 and a 2 make 7. And that will not quite fit in there, so it is actually set at, oh, it will, just barely. So this one's good. It's on the high end mark. It's good. 3 to 5, so we'll set it for 4. Got a T20 screwdriver here, and you have to loosen that screw from the inside, and then put your feeler gauge in there, and just tighten this up with 5/8 wrench. And now it's starting to feel snug at 4. So I'm going to hold the wrench here, tighten that back down, and check it again. This is the 4. 4 fits through nicely. There's a 5. And I can't get the 5 through. So it's, well, just barely. So it's at the high end of the gap. I'm just going to go a little bit less. There's the 5 again. Still at the high end of it, but now it's just barely sliding in there. So at 5 I will leave it. And this one is good at 7. Alright, got this dipstick tube. Got it all nice and cleaned up. And it just goes back down in there. Just like that. And dipstick back in. Just like so. I've never had any leaking problems down here, so I didn't bother replacing the O-ring, but if your O-ring is bad, you should replace that right there. Once I get it back down on the ground, I'll drain the oil and change that. So I've got my valve cover and just a layer of silicone all the way around. I'm just going to spread it out. And I wanted to get this on just to make sure that I don't get any dirt or anything into here while I'm putting everything else together. And might as well get it on right side up. So I'm just going to snug these up a little bit, pretty much until it starts touching. Okay, so they're all just hand tight right now, and I'm going to give them just a tiny little bit of a snug. Very little bit. So I'm about done for tonight. I'm just going to let this silicone set for a little bit, let it harden up, and then tomorrow I'm going to come and tighten them up all the way and torque them. Okay, I thought I was videotaping this. Anyway, there's that small bolt from the bottom here. It's got a 5/16 head on it. And I got it tight. It doesn't have to be overly tight. Now, I think the rest of this hooks into that plastic cover on here. First I'm going to concentrate on putting the exhaust pipe back on. So that's all nice and clean. That surface there. There's a gasket right on this here. I was lucky, this gasket didn't get damaged at all. And then the 2 Allen head bolts. So again, this is a 1/4 inch Allen head. Okay, they're both snug. I don't know what the torque is on these bolts. I couldn't find the torque on them. But use your discretion because you're bolted into aluminum there, so you really want to be careful. This bracket is all nice and clean. Now, remember, this goes underneath here. And just snug those up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to move these over to the other side here and put the card back on. Okay, so here's the 2 bolts. They're the longer ones. And you definitely want to make sure that this O-ring is in here when you put it back on, and make sure it's in good shape. And make sure all your hoses back here stay on. This one popped off twice now. And just make sure all your linkages are not binding anywhere. Okay, everything on here seems to be a 3/8. Mostly everything. Pretty simple. And just snug these up. Very careful. This is just plastic and this is just aluminum, so you figure it out. So I got these 2 muffler bracket bolts right there still in the holes where they belong, and this slides right into there. Okay, gonna snug those 2 up. That's on. And then I'm gonna look up the spark plug gap that it's supposed to have, and I will see you tomorrow, because now I'm gonna call it quits. So today's a new day. I've been trying to get this done after work and on Saturdays, and my Saturday was full of interruptions, so it's been a slow process, but there's probably no reason why anybody couldn't get this done in one day easily. Less than a day. So anyway, right behind me here, I've got a whole bunch of dirty parts that need to be cleaned. So, I'm gonna clean all that up and I'll get back to you. Got a little bit of a mess here. And that's just from scraping it. I'm gonna clean it up some more now. So yesterday when I said I was quitting, I still went ahead and I put the spark plug in. I couldn't find any place where it mentions the spark plug gap. Apparently I'm supposed to have an engine manual with my owner's manual, but I don't have one. And that's where it says to refer to for all the stuff that I need to know. The gap looked about the same as the spark plug that I had in it, so I put it in, and the wire again is underneath here like it's supposed to be, and I don't like the way this wire just lays there and touches everything over here. That's the way it was made. I've got lots of this wire protector laying around, so I might as well put it to use. I'm gonna cut it and get a good end on it. There we go. It's a little hard to split, but it does split down the middle. This stuff is kind of tricky yet. There we go. Now it's moving. So I'm just going to snip off the end here. And then it's protected all the way around. So yesterday I just loosely tightened these, let the silicone harden up a little bit, and today I'm torquing them to 60 inch-pounds. Good. So I got everything all nice and clean, shined up. And I just used some orange clean hand cleaner on a cloth and wiped it down. And so this is ready to go back on. Goes on the outside of the dipstick tube over here, and the tube comes through here. And this is the side you gotta really watch, is make sure that you get the plastic in between these notches here. Let me give you a better look. There we go. Hooked into place. The first long bolt, I'm going to put it over here in this corner, because that's also the bolt that holds your dipstick tube in place. So I'm going to start here. A long bolt, and then the two short ones. And just snug those up very loosely. Okay, the dipstick tube is nice and tight now, and I've got a few more things that I need to do on here. Change the oil and put the air filter in, but I'll have to continue that after I do my axle shafts. Right now I've got it sitting on jack stands, and I didn't want to change the oil until I get it back off of the stands. But first I need to fix this. And my next video is going to be about how I'm going to fix that. And then I'll get back to this and finish this video. So the tires are back on. And if you want to see how I fix the play in these tires, I'll put a card right up there, and if you don't see the card, that means it's not posted yet. Anyway, it's ready to let down, and I can change the oil now. So I just got all a little windshield washer jug chopped off here. I'll let that stuff drain out. Take the dipstick out. Make it run a little faster. So in the meantime, while the oil's draining out, I'm going to put everything else back together yet. And I ordered a new filter on Amazon, but it hasn't showed up yet. Anyway, so I'm going to have to put the old one back in. I blew it out as best as I could with the air hose. And, oh! I almost forgot that tiny little bolt that goes down in here. So I got it out with a screwdriver, but I'm going to put it back in with a socket, and it's actually a 1/4 inch socket. Nice and easy on that one. So now the cover can go back on. Starting to look like a real lawnmower again. And there it is. Good as new. So, hood is on. And just need to hook my lights back up again. Right there. And another thing that I did while this thing was sitting here not doing anything is I put this battery on a battery charger, and in the owner's manual it recommends that you charge it on a charger 4 times a year, and I usually do 2 times a year. I do it in the spring, and I also do it in the fall before I park it. So, battery's all hooked up. So now I am right exactly on the full mark. Turned out to be about a little less than 1.5 liters of oil that I used in there. So now, the moment of truth. Glad to see that thing out of here. Finally, everything's done on it. Alright, I'm just shutting it down and gonna check the oil one more time. Okay, I finished checking the oil and it's still at the top. And I hope this video was clear enough that you were able to change your own head gasket. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe and make sure you hit the like button. And there might be just another card right there to another lawnmower video.